They don't even try to hide it anymore. Nick Saban dropped a bombshell during the draft about Wyatt Milum, admitting he tried to poach him over and over while he was at Alabama.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. This is Locked On West Virginia, 4 o'clock in the morning edition. That's right. You guys won't see it at 4 o'clock in the morning, but that's when I'm doing this because I'm crazy and I couldn't stop thinking about this. I ended up writing an entire thing about it. And you guys are going to hear that here in just a second. Something I kind of enjoy doing. I thought this would be a good topic to do it on. So before we go there, let's talk about the sponsor for the video, guys. FanDuel. Make sure you head over to FanDuel, guys, because when your first $5 bet hits, FanDuel is giving away $250 in bonus bets. Make sure you head over to FanDuel today, guys, to see if that first $5 bet wins. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your very first listen of being part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your team every single day. Let's jump into this, man. Obviously, congratulations to Wyatt Milum going to Jacksonville Jaguars, which is a great pickup for him, protecting the backside of Trevor Lawrence. I think he'll probably slide down to guard, but even at tackle, I think he'll be fine. If he wanted to play there, that people talk about his arm length, but he'll be fine. Nick Saban had some comments on Wyatt Milum, if you didn't hear these, after the pick was made, and here's what he said. I'm quoting. Well, one of those recruits we lost, as he was reflecting on his time when he was at Alabama as the head coach, obviously. But we tried to get this guy every year in the portal, even when we didn't get him out of high school. What? We tried to get this guy every year, even though he wasn't in the portal, Nick Saban. Obviously, this guy must not plan on returning to coaching, or had a brain fart, or it's just so wide open now that it's not even being hidden anymore. It's just ridiculous, man. It's like, it's West Virginia. Nobody's going to care. It's obvious the NCAA hates us. Like, I really feel this way. It's not just putting something on here. So if you're an Alabama fan and you see this, you're going to disagree with a lot I have to say here. But at the end of the day, this was a dumb thing to say by Nick Saban, to admit this openly. A guy from the state of West Virginia that never even made an inkling of a mention that he ever wanted to leave West Virginia. You're telling us you basically tampered with him his entire time at West Virginia. We all know that Zach Frazier turned down a lot of money from Alabama Zach's last year, going into his last year at West Virginia. We knew that he had to go through something similar. So you wanted Frazier, you wanted Milum, right? We get it. They're both top, top 3 NFL draft round picks. And you just couldn't stand it. The West Virginia had them, and born and raised in West Virginia. Screw you, man. So, I get it. People do it, and this is how people respond to this. Well, everybody knows it happens everywhere. Okay, fine. But I don't see anybody else admitting publicly that they did it. It's almost like inviting other people to do it now. It's very frustrating for me. So I wrote something just because, you know what, I was mad when I wrote it, and I think it's something I wanted to get off my chest, and it's a letter kind of to Mountaineer Nation that I thought would be kind of cool. So I spent about an hour on this, just kind of messing around with it. So I am going to try to read this with some passion, and hopefully you guys like this. This is my letter to Mountaineer Nation about the situation, because not only is it the tampering, there's way more than that going on. We can go back to the NCAA tournament. It just feels like, we're some kind of target nowadays. And so, dear Mountaineer Nation, my heart beats golden blue. It always has, and it always will. And as I sit before you here today on camera, I am filled with pride, but also I have a fire that burns deep within, which is why I'm here at 4 o'clock in the morning to talk to you about this. It's a fire that's stoked by years of being overlooked, being underestimated, being my own hell in my own prison, things I did to myself, and frankly, disrespected. We're West Virginia University fans, the lifeblood of a state that wears a tart on its sleeve. A people who rise from the hollers and hills to cheer for our Mountaineers with unmatched passion. Yet, time and time again, and it feels like the world is out to take from us, to beat us down, cast us aside. But I say no more, man. We're Mountaineers. We can't let these people break us. We can't. The pressure is mounting, and it continues to get worse. It's almost like that bully that first he kicks you in the shin, then he gives you a noogie, then he gives you a swirly, then it becomes all-out field goal physical abuse and getting beaten up after school, and it feels like it's escalating like that with the way West Virginia University gets treated. Let's talk about Wyatt Milum here, a Canova kid right down the road from where I live, who became a legend. He played at Spring Valley, and now he plays in the old gold and blue, and he was drafted tonight by the Jacksonville Jaguars, 89th overall in the 2025 draft. Our entire state swelled with pride. Even Neil Brown had something to say about that. Consistent All-American, Big 12 Lineman of the Year, semifinalist for the Outland Trophy. He was the embodiment of Mountaineer grit. But then on live television, Nick Saban lets slip a truth that cuts deep for me. A guy that's supposed to be from the state of West Virginia couldn't even leave one of his own alone in the state of West Virginia when you already had everything anyways. You didn't need Wyatt Milum to succeed at Alabama. You didn't need Zach Frazier to succeed in Alabama. Let that sink in. Wyatt Milum never entered the transfer portal. Nick Saban's weren't just a casual reflection. They were an admission of tampering, a flagrant attempt by a college football giant to poach one of our own. Year after year, Alabama knocked on Wyatt's door, dangling the allure of their dynasty, their rings, their spotlight. And year after year, Wyatt Milum said no. He stayed true to Morgantown, to the state that raised him, to the fans who loved him and chanted his name. That, my friends, is not just loyalty, it's legacy. Wyatt Milum is a Mountaineer hero, and his name will echo in the mountains around Milan Puskar Stadium forever, in my opinion. He's not alone, because we could talk about Zach Frazier, another son of West Virginia from Fairmont, a rocket center, one of the best in the country. He was a cornerstone of our offensive line, an All-American, one of the best rookies in the NFL with the Pittsburgh Steelers this past year. And did you know that Alabama came after him too? According to Tony Reedy, on three guys before the game, Zach turned down a heavy money offer from Alabama during his time at West Virginia. Heavy money, Mountaineer Nation. That's the kind of offer that can turn heads and change lives. But yet Zach, like Wyatt, chose the old gold and blue. He chose us in a world where the transfer portal spins like a revolving door. Zach and Wyatt stood firm, proving that West Virginia is more than a school. It's a way of life. While we can celebrate these heroes, we can't ignore the slights, the injustices, the moments when the world seems to be conspiring against us. Look at our baseball team, guys, in the 2025 season under Steve Saban's a 34-5 record, sweeping 7 Big 12 series, guys. By any measure, one of the hottest teams in the country. Now climbing to 7 in the D1 baseball top 25 after a 14-game winning streak. Yet early in the season, they were barely ranked, scraping by as an afterthought in the polls. 30 wins. The so-called experts hesitated to give them their due. Why? Because we're West Virginia. Because we're not a coastal blue blood or a media darling. Because our boys kept swinging, kept winning, forcing the nation to take notice. That's Mountaineer sports. An underdog heart with champion fight. We can't forget about the NCAA tournament, guys. Our basketball team being left out. And unfortunately, North Carolina, a blue blood, gets in. It's not a coincidence that it was a blue blood that beat us in there. Time and time again, we see it happen. What about Raekwon Battle, guys? A chapter that still boils the blood of every West Virginia fan. Raekwon is a dynamic guard who transferred to West Virginia in 2023. Was ready to light up the Coliseum, but the NCAA, in its infinite wisdom, denied his eligibility waiver several times, even though, from what we can understand, everything was in place for him to be eligible, citing his 2 prior transfers. Well, never mind that Raekwon's journey moving through hardship living on reservations, chasing his dream was the kind of story college sports should celebrate. The NCAA still stonewalled him and forced West Virginia to file a lawsuit to secure his right to play. We fought and we won, just like with Wyatt Milum, just like with Zach Frazier, just like with the baseball team, and just like we'll do with the basketball team, because these are not games lost. They're momentum stalled, guys. That's what happens when we get tested like this. They tested Raekwon Battle. They tested Wyatt Milum. They tested Zach Frazier. They test us. But why us? Why does it feel like West Virginia has to climb a steeper hill than the other teams? Why do we have to fight a harder fight just to get what other teams are handed? These aren't isolated incidents. They're part of a pattern. That's just a flat out what it is, guys. And now Nick Saban's flipping admission on national TV, a casual confession here of tampering. And it's just a business as usual. He'll be back tomorrow, guys. It's a slap in the face, not just to Wyatt Milum, but to every Mountaineer fan who bleeds for this program. Alabama, with its 16 national titles and endless resources, thought they were going to swoop in and pluck one of our own from the state of West Virginia. Wyatt said no. Zach said no. That's the Mountaineer way. Loyalty over everything. Pride over paycheck. So what do we got to do now, Mountaineer Nation? Well, we have to rise above the slights, above the snubs, above the tampering and the disrespect. We have to double down on our pride and celebrate these people that chose West Virginia over the world. And we have to demand accountability, guys. I say we hang up in the rafters Wyatt Milum's jersey. We hang up in the rafters Zach Frazier's jersey for the loyalty they showed over everything else. Couldn't be prouder of both of those guys, and especially Wyatt tonight, as he did something not a lot of people would do in the same situation. He chose us. Not everybody chooses us. We'll be back after the break. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by Amazon Fire and TV, guys. Did you know your Fire TV isn't also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your pair controller, subscribe, or sign into your Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. You can dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, and Avowed as easily as your favorite stream or TV show. It's gaming made simple, all on your Fire TV. They do have the latest technology for elevated playing if you want, guys. Wi-Fi 6 and 6E on low latency mode, which is an advanced technology. Fire Stick TV 4K delivers smoother, more responsive gameplay with lightning fast speeds. You need to stay competitive. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started today. Guys, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller is required. Available on select devices, of course, including Fire TV Stick 4K, which is the second gen, Fire TV 4K Max, the first and second gen, and the Fire TV Cube, that's the third gen. All right, guys, now we move into segment 2, and definitely a little bit more, less of an emotional topic, at least for me. I just wanted to do that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I realize it's a tad over the top, but I feel a little certain type of way these days, guys, with the way I feel like we get slighted left and right, man. You know, people can just all publicly talk about tampering with our players and nothing will come of it. So insane to me, you know, so whatever. Let's move on here, guys, to my next topic, and that's the roster needs update. I think it's, you know, we've had a lot of visitors in here lately. We've had a lot of movement. We've had guys not even showing up, basically. You know, Will Reed signed and then he signed and then will never play a snap for West Virginia. And while I don't blame Will Reed at all, you know, it's a situation where there's a lot of movement going on, obviously. Like, there are people that will probably never remember this guy's name because he never took a snap at West Virginia. As to where somebody like me, who's known him for months now and was really looking forward to it, will always remember him. It's funny how the portal kind of works that way. So what I did is I had the top overall needs for West Virginia spring transfer portal that remain. And that's considering who they've had on, who they've signed, the whole nine like that. So I've got a little list here, guys, that I made up while I was simultaneously writing a letter. I was thinking about this. And so I spent about 20 or 30 minutes on this, just a quick little thing. So the top overall needs for West Virginia football in the spring transfer portal, they've added depth at wide receiver with Christian Hamilton, North Carolina. And they need more playmakers, according to Rich Rodriguez, to stretch the field and get faster. To complement the returning receivers, Rodney Gallagher, Preston Fox, Jaden Bray, and others, they've hosted South Carolina State's Justin Smith-Brown and have a scheduled visit with Jackson State's Isaiah Spencer. They have offers out to other people, guys, like Keelan Marion, who will be most likely very hard to get. And so, obviously, this offense it thrives on explosive plays. And the current group, while promising, does lack proven depth, and a big-time wide receiver could elevate the passing game alongside quarterbacks Nico Markell and Henderson. So that's going to be a room to watch. I think it's definitely one of the top three rooms that they've been adding to, along with defensive back, offensive line, and linebackers, guys. Especially, they've been going after just a ton of players in these parts of the team, and running back. Like, there's a little bit of everything going on here. At defensive back, obviously, secondary remains a priority, even with App State corner Nick Taylor joining the fold. You talk about Darian Lewis was just on campus. Emory and Henry's Jacob Robinson, the 6'3" phenom, was on campus for visits. So West Virginia is hunting for both corners and safeties. It's pretty obvious. They've lost pieces like Jacoby Spells. They still have Keyshawn Robinson, Jordan Scruggs, Demonte Golden Nelson, Michael Coates, everybody that you know about. But like Aubrey Burks is gone, and some big-time impact players are gone. So, it's going to be a big deal for them to continue to get better in that room. And so there's some big needs in that room. We'll see if we sign any of the guys that have visited here within the last couple of days. Hopefully they do. Offensive line has been I think it's the biggest concern on the team, personally. I personally do, especially now that Will Reed is gone. Obviously, they've added 8 transfers that I can count, guys, since Rodriguez arrival. That's Michael Clay. That's Josh Isosa. Obviously, Landing Livingston, Nick Cray, Xavier Bosley are there. Robbie Martin, Tykees Crawford are there, and others. But, you got Kimo Makaniole is there. But I don't think they like the 5. And if you go look at some of the clips, like somebody showed me some clips today from one of the guys that put his tape out, he's in the portal. Offensive line, Jamori Robinson was absolutely destroying people on the offensive line. Just keeping it real. Go watch that tape. Jamori Robinson was getting right by guys. Maybe they weren't going 100%. That's fair, but kind of scary. Interior defensive lineman, obviously Cam Rice was supposed to visit. I don't think that ever happened. And the defensive front has quality returners, though. I mean, you got Eddie Vista-Renan, Hammond Russell, Asani Redwood, plus you've got Eddie Kelly from Missouri, Jamori Robinson from UTSA, but depth is still a concern. I think they could add another true DT in the middle, guys, to rotate, maybe clog the middle against the run, because you got Kansas State, Oklahoma State, you got Utah, even Arizona State now like to run the ball. So the Big 12 is turning into an extremely physical league. We know that. So we need a strong interior presence, guys. I think they're still looking for that. Maybe a guy with some pass rush as well. Running back room is thin, right? Jaheim White, Ty Edwards, Dior Hubbard, Travion Dunbar. We've got a couple. White's really the only proven guy at the Power 4 level. Dunbar's untested. That's going to be a room we need to add in. And I know they've looked different places. We're still waiting to see what happens there. Absolutely. Linebacker, we know they've added Ben Bogle, who I'm absolutely through the roof high on. I think he's going to start at linebacker for West Virginia. Reed Carrico, Ben Cutter, Caden Beiser provide a really good foundation for the group, obviously. And then, we can't forget about my boy now. We can't forget about my boy, Chase Wilson, who I'm a big fan of as well. He's got a ton of production. But I think they would like to add some more bodies there for sure, maybe another high-caliber player even. So there's a lot going on here, isn't there? And a lot to keep track of. You look at edge rusher. That's been a huge one. Obviously, I think Bogle does help there, even though I don't know if he'll play inside backer or bandit. He can do either, honestly. He's a great pass rusher. I think he'll probably play just a regular linebacker spot, but I wouldn't be shocked to see him play, at pass rushing situations. He's good. He really is. Obviously we've seen the Texas Tech guy was on campus. We had the number 1 JUCO player, Shanklin, come on the other day, and that dude's tape is incredible. So, West Virginia has been swinging big for these pass rushers, and I think they want this to be an aggressive defense that's going to be really hard to keep out of the backfield, right? So, these recent additions are big time, but I do think they're going to need more guys. And if you look at the most recent acquisitions, obviously you've got Grayson Barnes at tight end, Eddie Kelly, Christian Hamilton, Ben Bogle, Josh Isosa, Nick Taylor at corner, and Michael Clay at offensive line, who's 6'5", 278, by the way. Got some experience to him. So there is a ton of youth and experience on the roster, but it's going to be interesting to see, guys, which direction they go from here. Let's go to break. We'll come back and put a bow on this one. Stick around. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is also going to be brought to you by FanDuel, guys. That's right. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action, because right now you can join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet. You'll get $250 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. Guys, plus the playoffs games, when they tip off, you can even combine your live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. You don't want to miss out. Head over to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 bonus bets today if you win that first $5 bet. All right, guys, I appreciate you guys for joining in. This is a shorter episode to start the day for sure. I've had a lot of longer episodes going 30, 35 minutes and all that, going 30 and 35 minutes and all that. So, this one's going to be shorter. I want to thank you guys for listening. This is going to be a pre-recorded one. I haven't done one in a while. Since it's 4 a.m, I thought, you know what? I want to record, but I don't want to go live this late. So we're going to do it this way. I'll be back later today, I'm sure, guys. It's 4 a.m. now, but I mean, when you watch this, it'll be like 9 or 10. So, or maybe later in the day that day. I'm sure I'll be back at some point, because it'll feel like to me like I hadn't recorded on Saturday technically yet, but this still counts as 7 days a week. So I appreciate y'all. I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a great rest of your weekend. Let's stay locked in on the portal. I'm sure some great things are going to happen there. And thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen. But I could ask you for another favor, though. Guys, check out the portal for Locked On as your second listen, guys. That's right. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to college football landscape. Find the portal on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a greek rest of your week, and I'll see you on the next one.